Wonderhussy here, hanging out in the middle of nowhere, Utah. That's right, I'm in the Basin and Range part of the United States, which is basically a series of basins like this vast, beautiful valley I'm in right now, and ranges like this little range of hills that I'm headed up into. Now, why am I headed up into this random range of hills in this particular section of the beautiful Basin and Range country in the middle of nowhere, Utah? Well, I've been hanging out here for a few days, and when I'm in an area, I like to look and see if I have anything pinned on my map. Okay, I have a big Google map with pins in all the places that I want to check out. And some of them are places that I just found myself looking at Google Maps, because I do spend a lot of time doing that. Some of them people send me, and I think this is one that somebody sent me. Hey, Wonderhussy, look at this weird, mysterious octagonal hole in the ground. What do you suppose it is? Why don't you go check it out? Well, I'm not going to drive all the way out to the middle of nowhere, Utah, just to check out some octagonal hole in the ground, but I put a pin in it for the time in the future when undoubtedly I would find myself in this area. And that time is today. I'm driving around this beautiful country. I look at my map. Ooh, octagonal hole. What do you suppose that is? I mean, it could just be a cistern, but it could be something really interesting carved by ancient aliens or Native Americans or dinosaurs or who knows? My motto is posted above the visor in my car right here. You don't know if you don't go. And so if I want to find out what this strange octagonal hole is, well, I guess I better go. Okay, the moment of truth has arrived. I'm here at this thing, and now it's time to find out if it was really worth driving all the way over here for. Okay, yeah, I was hanging out in the general vicinity, but it was like 30 miles out of my way there and back, so 60 miles out of my way, and today's gas prices, boy, this thing better be worth it. And it's always interesting to see if something that looks weird on Google Maps actually looks weird in person. A lot of times it just looks funky in the satellite view. And then up close, it just turns out to be something like this. Golly. What do you guys suppose this is? Unfortunately, I'm going to go ahead and guess that it's not anything made by aliens, and it's not anything made by Native Americans. I think it's just a good old-fashioned stock tank? Just goes to show some of those mysterious shapes you see on Google Earth really aren't that mysterious after all, when you come look at them in person. And since I'm out here anyway, and I have my drone with me, well, let's do a little comparison. I'll fly my drone up above this stinking stagnant pond and see just how interesting it looks from above in real life. Okay, let's see if this thing looks anywhere near as mysterious from above in real life. Okay, I'm gonna go as high as I can and then pan down, 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 down. Oh dear. That doesn't look anywhere near as mysterious as it did on Google Maps. Oh well, it just goes to show you can't believe everything you see on the internet. But it also goes to prove my little motto, which is, you'll never know if you don't go. Well, now we've gone, and now we know And we've also blown about $30 worth of gas, but that's okay. That's what I do, and it's not a waste because look how gorgeous this countryside is. And besides, that's not the only pin I have on my map in this area, okay? Unfortunately, I have to head home today. Actually, I gotta head back to Vegas because I gotta get my oil changed. And there's a few pins on my map between here and Las Vegas. So why not stop at least one more place and see if we don't get lucky next time. Okay, location number 2 kind of also bears out my, you'll never know if you don't go. This is a hot spring that I've been to a couple times, but there's always 1,000 friggin' people here. Meaning I've never been able to shoot a video out here because it's always so dang crowded. Okay, actually it's not just a hot spring. There's like 5 different hot springs scattered all over this vast meadow. And that's all I'm gonna say about the exact location of this particular hot spring, because I know how the hot springs gatekeepers are. They don't like you sharing information or even really sharing video footage of these places online. Anyway, there's a bunch of hot springs all scattered about in this meadow that's privately owned, but I guess the rancher doesn't mind people soaking here and camping here, and that's why you might be able to see there's a couple RVs over there, there's a couple cars over there. I drove all the way out down this bumpy, muddy, rutted road thinking I might be able to sneak a private soak in one of the ponds, because it looks like most of the other vehicles here today aren't like super hardcore off-road vehicles like mine, which you can see a few ruts and a few puddles don't bother my 4Runner at all. In fact, it's cooling its heel in a puddle right now. Anyway, I always wanted to come back here and make a video at this hot spring because one of the ponds in particular, and I think it's probably the one with the RVs parked by it, is unbelievably beautiful. It's really, really deep and really, really clear, and it's this beautiful sort of turquoise color with these cool rock formations all around the edges. But unfortunately, there's too many people over there, so I had to settle for one of these lesser ponds, which is actually pretty dang beautiful itself. Look at this. This is actually pretty much what the big pond looks like, only the big one is even bigger and even deeper. But look how beautiful that water is. It's that beautiful turquoise kind of Caribbean blue color, and you can see there's like a rock shelf down there, and then it gets even deeper on that end. Absolutely stunning, especially considering this amazing landscape. Look at these snow-covered mountains behind me and this beautiful field, this blue sky full of fluffy white clouds. Oh my god. The only downside is I think this pond might not be super duper hot. Let me see, I'll put my finger in. Look, there's little fishies swimming around in it. Let's see. It's tepid. And with snow on the mountains there and it being only about 59 degrees outside today, unfortunately that's not really hot enough for me to want to drop trow. But dang it, this place is so well known and so crowded at all times. I feel like the fact that I have this pond all to myself right now, this might be the only chance I get to take a solo soak and film it for my YouTube channel. So as chilly willy as it is, I feel like I better get in. It's actually not that bad. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. It could be 5, maybe even 10 degrees hotter. But I'm certainly not gonna complain because I'm frankly astounded that I even got this one pool to myself here. This is a very well-known hot spring, and there have been a few people come look at me while I'm soaking here, even when I was flying my drone. I don't want to piss anyone off. As far as I know, the guy who owns this land doesn't mind you flying a drone or taking pictures or shooting video. I'm sure he's a Mormon, so out of respect to him, I did wear my magic bikini. I'm not going naked, although this dude from Wyoming just pulled up in a pickup truck and was like, oh, hey, I didn't bring my swimsuit. Oh, hope you're not offended. And I was like, well, no, I'm not offended at all. Lord knows, if you know me, I am certainly not offended by somebody soaking in a hot spring without a swimsuit. But I wasn't sure if he'd be offended by me filming video, so I was like, yeah, but you gotta go check out the other springs first, because there's a really good one and it's even hotter. Oh, here comes somebody else. Dang it. Gosh, dang it. I'm telling you, this hot spring is very well known and very popular. I just pulled my same trick on those people. I go, oh yeah, there's a much hotter one over there, which I'm not lying. There is. That really big pond is not only bigger and deeper, but it's hotter. So hopefully everybody just goes and hangs out over there. That being said, I know I'm on borrowed time here. There's probably gonna be a whole troop of Boy Scouts show up any minute. And, well, I did bring a ranch water out here to drink, but it's too cold to drink a ranch water anyway. So I guess I'm just gonna float around, show you guys a few things about this awesome pond, and then get out ski. Well, I don't know how much of this you're gonna be able to see, but there's some really cool algae in this hot spring. I don't know if you can see that under the water. It's really long and it's kind of furry. It almost looks like Chewbacca's fur. Can you see that? It actually feels like Chewbacca's fur too. Well, I've never felt Chewbacca's fur, but I have felt the next best thing, and well, I can vouch for the fact that it feels very similar. Oh gosh, I don't even know if you can see that. Let me see, maybe if I go over to the shallower side of the pond here, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. Meanwhile, look at these cool rock formations. I guess this is all just mineral buildup from the minerals that are in this hot spring water, and there's these like cool little island outcroppings in the pond, all around the pond, and down in the pond. I don't know if this is travertine or what, but look, here's a perfect example of that Chewbacca fur I was talking about. It's slippery, but it feels like a big, thick fur coat. Like a slippery, mossy fur coat. And I don't know, that might kind of gross you out, but it doesn't feel bad. It just feels, I don't know, it feels cool. It feels like nature. Pretty dang amazing. And especially when the sun comes out from behind one of these fluffy clouds, it's just an absolutely glorious day. That being said, I can imagine being here on a day when it was hot, floating in here. Ugh, it would be amazing. I think one of the other times I came here was in winter. It was really chilly, but we were lucky there wasn't anybody here, and so we went in the big main pond. Unfortunately, I didn't have my camera with me, so I didn't film any footage, but that hot pond was really nice on a winter's day. So I guess this hot spring has a little bit of everything for all kinds of weather. The only type of weather you wouldn't want to come out here in is rain, because you'd get bogged down. Uh-oh. The guy from Wyoming is back, and while I wouldn't be offended by him soaking with me naked, I have the unfortunate feeling that it would lead to me cracking open my ranch water and hanging out in here talking to him all dang day when I actually have other stuff I want to check out in Utah on my way home. And since it really isn't warm enough to be soaking in a pool of this temperature, well, I guess I'm just gonna roll on out of here. Okay, wow. I just drove way the heck up what started out as a road, but very quickly devolved into nothing more than a very faint 2-track up this snowy canyon. I'm not kidding you guys, there's patches of snow on the ground, even though next weekend is Memorial Day. Whew. I told you, it was chilly soaking in that hot spring. Anyway, I followed this very, very faint 2-track all the way up this sort of ravine until it Well, it didn't peter out. You can see there's still very faint tire tracks, still a very faint road, but it looks like the ravine gets ever more narrow. And I'm not driving a side-by-side. I'm in a full-size Toyota 4Runner. I don't want to get stuck. And besides, it's a beautiful day to get some exercise. And I think I'm only about a half a mile or less from this other thing that I have pinned on my map, and which I am now very, very curious to see for myself. Boy, I did not expect this thing to be this remote, and that's hard to get to, and that makes me think it's gonna be even cooler than it looked online, and it looked pretty dang cool online. I also didn't expect the landscape to be this spectacular. I guess because I'm here in spring, everything is green and lush, and it almost feels like I'm hiking in the Swiss Alps, especially because I'm huffing and puffing because of the elevation. We're at like almost 6,300 feet here, and well, while it might not look like the Swiss Alps to you, this doesn't look like my or most people's conception of Utah. You know, you picture Utah and you picture these dramatic red sandstone desert landscapes. Not this. Whoopsie. Dang it. I gotta hike all the way back down to my car in the distance there because my dumbass was following Google Maps and it took me to the wrong dang side of the mountains. I should have looked this up on Onyx to begin with, but well, what can I say? I'm kind of new to Onyx and I'm very used to using Google, and old habits die hard. Anyway, this means I could either hike a half mile as the crow flies up and down and over these mountains, or I can just get back in my car and drive to the right trail. Blah. Okay, hang on. This isn't even the thing I was going to check out, but I saw it out the window and I thought it was worth a stop. Look how cool this is. It's a really old stone cabin, probably built by some Mormon pioneer 200 years ago. Okay, maybe not 200 years ago, but probably 150 years ago, 130 years ago. Pretty amazing that it's still standing today. And pretty amazing that whoever built it was able to build it out of just very crude materials, scavenged, I guess, right out of this local area. You can see there's all kinds of rocks. Granite, I guess, on the mountains, and then there's plenty of this pinyon juniper, so I guess that's what they did. Cut down some trees, framed out the house, laid some cross beams across. Look at that, rough hewn, but very solid. And the walls look like he chinked the rock together with some kind of mud or adobe kind of cement and then plastered over them. Look how thick these freaking walls are. For reference, there's my hand. Oh gosh, I gotta zoom out. You can't even see. That is a thick wall. Cool in the summer, warm in the winter. Boy, walls like this would keep you comfortable no matter what time of year it was, and I wish I had them on my house in Death Valley. And then look over here, just down the hill from the house, there's a big, I was gonna guess it was the foundation of another house, or maybe it was some kind of settling pond if they were doing some kind of mining, or some kind of swimming pool. Your guess is as good as mine. All I know is this had nothing to do with, I don't think it did, the place I'm going, and I am not running out of daylight, but I am kind of running out of gas, so I better get going to this dang last location. Okay, this time I finally made it to this place I was trying to get to, and it is super cool and totally worth having to drive all the way to the other side of this mountain range. What can I say, man? I used Onyx to get here this time, and it was good. It gave me the right route, but it kept freezing up and crashing, and it doesn't work with my screen in my car. So, hey, it's not perfect either. Anyway, Google Maps, Onyx, whichever app you want to use to get here, this place is so badass that it was totally worth all the fuss. It's a little cabin built into this giant boulder. Isn't this super cool? Kind of reminds me, I did a video once a long time ago about another cabin under another boulder, only that one was in Nevada, and this one is in Utah. And this one is very well marked on Onyx, Google Maps. It's all over the internet, so I feel like it's okay to say the name of it. It's called the Chocolate Drop House. And I feel like that's the perfect name for it because it looks like a chocolate chip cookie, or it looks like a blob of chocolate chip cookie dough when you drop it on the cookie sheet right before you put it in the oven to bake. Am I right? Cookies. Oh, all this driving around and navigating and swimming in hot springs and checking out zonks has really worked up an appetite. I'm gonna have to get some food after I explore this chocolate drop cabin, or chocolate drop house, I guess technically is what it's called. So it looks like to me that's granite. Well, I don't know, it's granite with all kinds of other little lumpy things in it. I've never seen granite have other rocks embedded in it before. I'm not sure if that's a possibility. I'm no geologist, but I'm sure there's plenty of geologists watching who can tell us in the comments. Anyway, it was a cool little cabin sort of built into I don't know if they chipped away at the boulder or if it had a natural sort of cave in it, but some prospector or old-timey pioneer, I better zoom out, gouged a little hole, hidey hole for himself. And I don't know if the original guy did this or if later people did, but they built this cool deck out front with this very rustic Adirondack chair. Ugh, talk about the perfect place to enjoy an ice cold ranch water, except it's actually kind of chilly over here too. I mean, this side of the mountains is the west facing side, so it does look more deserty, which is sort of like the pictures that I saw of this place when I saw it online, and that's the kind of landscape I was expecting, which is why I was so surprised on the other side when it was all green and Swiss Alpine looking. This side is much more like what I expected, but it's no less beautiful. I mean, absolutely spectacular landscape and absolutely fascinating archaeological gem here in the old chocolate drop house. Let's go inside and see what it looks like. Before we go in though, look how cool the construction is. Just like at that cabin we just stopped at, the old stone hut. This guy also got some old juniper pine logs and sort of framed it out, I guess. And they stuffed all kind of little rocks and mud in between them. That looks just like adobe mud. You know, mud from the surrounding area in between the rocks, and that made a solid enough wall to have lasted all these years. I wasn't able to find any information about this place online as to, you know, how old exactly it is or who built it, but I would guess it's at least 100, 150 years old. Oh, it's interesting. It opens in the back too, so it's really not a true cave. It's sort of like an arch. I guess this giant granite boulder is an arch with a back door. Well, that's important in case there's a fire. And it does look like there have been many fires over the years. The roof of this cave house, or arch house, I'm not sure what you would call it, is very sooty and very dark. In fact, people have carved their names into the soot. Look at that. Jose from Puerto Rico was here in May of 2013. How about that? 13 years ago. And then over on this wall, above the window, there's one window in here. Sorry about the light. One little window next to the door, and above that, we got some folks that were also here in 2013. Wow, I guess 2013 was a big year for the old chocolate drop house. Here's somebody who was here 2020, COVID. That's when everybody got out and about and started exploring these places. And a lot of people would say, well, that's when things got ruined. And then again, a lot of people would say I am responsible for ruining these things because I like exploring them and filming them for YouTube. Look at that, it's a bunch of dudes from Chihuahua, Mexico, Javier Sanchez, Texas, and Oklahoma City. Dang, looks like folks come from all over the place, and these people were here about a month ago, not that long ago. Like I said, this is a very well-known little house, so I don't feel bad showing it. I don't feel like anyone's gonna have my ass in a sling for showing this one. But then again, there's absolutely no pleasing some folks, and no matter what I did, they'd have my ass in a sling. As cool as this chocolate drop house is, this friggin' scenery is just as spectacular. Look how cool. You know, people take car porn pictures of their car and like dramatic landscapes. This is the ultimate car porn landscape. This desolate, beautiful sort of mountain, desert, valley. What a place to live. Imagine being this dude. Look at that, there's even like a little stovepipe coming up by the window. So I guess when the original guy lived here, he probably did have a fireplace with a chimney and it wasn't maybe a sooty on the ceiling. But I'm guessing it sort of fell into disrepair over the years once it became discovered. And I guess what happened was it used to be really hidden in a thick forest. This whole area apparently was forested with that pinyon juniper. And this little chocolate drop house was hidden in the forest. Oh my God, talk about Hansel and Gretel. This is like something out of a fairy tale. But unfortunately, about 15, 20 years ago, there was a big fire that ripped through this area and burned down all the trees, leaving the chocolate drop house naked and exposed for anyone to find. Which I guess kind of sucks for the poor chocolate drop house, but I don't know, maybe the chocolate drop house likes it better this way because now it has this amazing expansive view. If there was a bunch of trees all over the place, you wouldn't be able to sit in that badass Adirondack chair and enjoy this awesome vista. See, there's always a bright side. Okay, let's go around back and see where that back door leads. It looks like there's a little trail leading up the hill. I gotta be careful because even though it is cold, you never know, there could be snakes out here. I don't know, this trail just kind of leads up to this little clearing, and that's the back door there. I'll zoom out. You can see there's like sticks and rocks sort of piled up to block it. I don't know, man, if you were living in there, you'd want to do a better job than that. You know, you'd want to stuff more rocks in there and more mud to keep the wind from howling through there. Oh my gosh, I'm here. I'm filming this on like May 20th, I think, and it's chilly. I left my hoodie in the car, and honestly, I wish I didn't because it is cold. We saw snow, remember, on the other side of these mountains? You would get really cold in here in the wintertime if this hole wasn't tightly packed up. But you could, you know, if you decided to move in, say you wanted to just get away from civilization, you had enough. You were tired of paying child support. You were tired of paying alimony. You're just going to disappear into the wilderness. So you went to Costco. You went to the army surplus store. You loaded up on cans of beans and warm woolen socks and adult DVDs and all the things you might need to go retire to the wilderness for the rest of your life. And a generator and some solar panels. You could watch the aforementioned adult DVDs. And a DVD player, I guess. Well, anyway, imagine you got all those things and came out here to live in this thing. Well, you'd have to set about fixing it up to be habitable. And so the first thing you would want to do is fill those cracks in the back with mud and rocks, of which there's an ample amount in the area, so that wouldn't be a problem. And then, well, you'd probably want to come in here with a shovel and scrape out all this dirt, clear it out. I mean, I don't know what happened. It looked like there was some kind of cave in there. Maybe that didn't used to be open. I don't know. If you cleared all that out, you would increase your floor space considerably, and then, you know, sweep it out, tidy it up, bring in a couple chairs, a table, a bed, you know, like even a camp cot, anything. And then you'd probably want to put something in the window. You know, you'd need some oilcloth or a piece of acrylic, plexiglass, something like that. Again, just to keep the wind from howling in, because, man, we're at, what'd I say, we're at 6,200 feet on the other side. We're probably about the same over here. It definitely would get cold here in the winter, but if you hooked something up to this chimney, remember I said there's a stovepipe poking out the wall next to the window. Well, you'd have to bring a length of stovepipe out and some kind of little 55-gallon drum to use as a wood stove or a wood stove. Have that right there. I'll bet you anything that would warm this space up in no time, assuming you had all the cracks filled with mud and rocks. You know, if you got a fire blazing in your little wood stove here, I'll bet you could get this place really nice and toasty because there's plenty of firewood around here. I mean, forest fire or no, there's still plenty of trees. You'd have to hike up a ways, I guess, if you wanted to cut enough for a whole winter. But there's also a lot of these dead trees that I guess burned in the fire. So you could probably get by. I mean, the door is even relatively solid. It's not super thick. You might have to shore that up a bit too, just to keep any bears out. Actually, I don't know if there are bear in these mountains. There might be. There's probably mountain lions. Oh, and then, you know, you could hunt. That's how you could sustain yourself out here. You could hunt rabbits, probably coyote. Foxes, I don't know, I guess you can't really eat coyote or fox. Birds, you know, you can catch game. Deer, there's probably deer, antelope, stuff like that. I don't know where you would get your water. I haven't seen any water sources. But, well, I did pass, actually. Calling back to the beginning of this video, I did pass one or two of them big, round, stock tank drinking wells, and one of them even had a wooden octagonal frame around it. Just like the boondoggle that started this video. Unbelievable. And every bit as cool, if not more so, than that amazing hot spring. I guess it depends on if you're a hot spring person or not. I like hot springs and I like cool, funky old historic cabins. So for me, whoo-wee, this trip was a win-win-win, because even though that octagonal hole just turned out to be a sumpy, smelly stock tank, well, I still was able to scratch my curiosity itch and find out what it was. And there is some real satisfaction in that. Remember, if you don't go, you'll never know.